Welcome to a video that is very, very important when it comes to deciding the direction we take with the brand new save that is about to come over the next few days here on the channel. As you'll be able to tell from maybe the title or thumbnail, I'm not sure I haven't made either, but what you will be aware of from what I've said on socials and in previous videos in the lead save is that we are going for a realistic as possible Road to Glory style save with, of course, Cambridge United. We've done a few over the years. This isn't the save that I'm using, the exact save game, etc. But I've just got something loaded up in the background, so I've got something to show you. I have created Gary Monk. I used the FIFA 20 mock-up for pro clubs, and that's what I got. It's kind of Gary Monkish. It's not really very Gary Monkish, but I'll be replicating that for the full save. What I need your help with today is deciding upon rules and certain aspects of what's coming up for this new save. Now, we are going to be managing a lot with a new spreadsheet. It's one that I've put together that's not been put together by Andrew. So it's not quite as detailed as the player career mode spreadsheet, but it's one hopefully we will be able to keep tabs on over the course of the season, and of the save, should I say. So let me show you the spreadsheet. I've got some rules that are set in stone that I want to do, and some that I need your feedback on before we start. Initially, these are the rules that are going to be set in stone for this upcoming save. The bank balance is going to be set by FM to get a realistic bank balance. We are going to track the finances, transfer budget, wage budget, etc. Wage budget can be exceeded by insert amount. We'll come to that. Transfer revenue retained from player sales is set to 75% of the fee. With the live editor, I'm going to be able to edit a number of different aspects of the save on the PC version of the game. Transfer budget each season is going to be set to a percentage of the overall balance that you guys will decide. Real life retained list players will be released at the end of season 1. We are starting, obviously, the save with the squad file that is accurate as of the end of the current real-life season. Now, since the end of the current real-life season, Cambridge United have announced what players are going to be leaving the squad as their contracts expire. We can't do that at the beginning of the save, because then I'd have about 7 players and wouldn't know who to bring in to replace them. Plus, it would be nice to play at least one season with the players that were at the club in real life this season. So they will be released at the end of season 1, and then we will look to replace them in the squad with, of course, adjusted budgets accordingly at the time. I will not sign anyone that's higher rated than the current highest rated player at the club to give a more realistic progression through the leagues, rather than go challenge for promotion, playoffs, challenge for promotion, finish top half in the Premier League, challenge in the top 4, win the league. We're going to not use the coaches. So player growth is going to be significantly hampered so that we progress more realistically through the divisions. We may even have relegations in this save. So it's going to be a long-term save that won't just be promotion, promotion, trophy, trophy, trophy. It's hopefully going to be the most realistic save I've ever done. Player signings whilst we're in League 1 and below, should we end up in League 2, hopefully we don't, will be limited to players of domestic nationality, that's in the United Kingdom and Ireland, both in their nationality and the club that I would be buying them from. So I'm only able to make signings in England, Scotland, Wales, not that the Welsh League is in there, Ireland, Northern Ireland, of nationality and league, etc. When we get to the Championship, we'll extend that and open that up to Europe. And when we get to the Premier League, of course, we'll extend that and open that up to worldwide. To the best of my ability, I will try and match squad rulings for each competition. So, for example, in League 1 where we start, all goalkeepers are eligible and don't count towards a squad limit. All under 21 players are eligible and don't count towards a squad limit. However, I am only able to select 22 outfield players that are eligible to play in League 1. And via an addition I shall make to the Players tab, we will be able to indicate which players are under 21, which players are eligible for what competitions and which players aren't eligible for what competitions. And I will do my utmost to be vigilant enough, with the help of live chat as well as we stream the save, of course, to ensure that we stick to those real life rulings of given competitions. So when we get to that level, there will be obviously Premier League stipulations, Champions League stipulations. I'm not going to go as far as work permits because that is a can of worms I do not want to open. But when it comes to squad limits and players that should be cup tied, etc., we will look to try and implement that as best we possibly can. To be strict and realistic with squad roles offered when we're offering contracts, if a player will not accept what I want to offer them, then I'll back out, is the general rule. I.e., if I'm signing a 65 rated player that would come in as a third choice player, I will want them to accept rotation. If they are only going to accept important in game, then I will either back out of the deal entirely and not sign that player, or, this is where you guys come in, I will sign them and then manually with the live editor change their squad role so that they are able to be happy in the squad and not get their morale in the mud and affect the rest of the save. That will be decided by probably live chat in the moment, if you guys obviously would like me to have that as an option for me. If you would rather that if I want someone as a rotation and they'll only accept important, then I don't sign them as a hard rule, then I will implement that. But of course be aware that the game of FC is nowhere near realistic when it comes to the sort of contracts that players do and don't accept. So that's where the maybe I edit it a little bit factor comes in. When it comes to offering a new contract to a player who's had a bid come in for them, I would be allowed to offer them a new contract with higher wages, etc., to entice them to stay, but of course only if I have the wage budget available to do so. That counts for release clauses met as well. I can manually add release clauses via the live editor if that's something that you think I should do, or if you feel like a release clause should be altered depending on someone's current contract, then we can do that too. And also, as we try and tend to do, but this time we'll be really hard-nosed with it, we will only accept bids from teams that would realistically offer for that player at that given time. The example given in the community post that I gave was, I'm in League One, Parma from Italy come in for one of my players, ain't happening in real life, not going to happen in my save. So what I need from you with regards to your feedback is, what do I do with the promoted and relegated sides? In real life, the Football League is decided with regards ups and downs, automatically ups and downs. However, of course, by the time we start this save, the playoffs will not yet have been completed. So, I have two options. Three options. I either don't update the leagues at all, and we start the save with teams in the division they were in this year IRL, or I can promote those that have been automatically promoted, relegate those that have been relegated, and promote automatically the side that finished in the top playoff spot. Let me give you a visual example. So, for example, Birmingham, Huddersfield and Rotherham have been relegated from the Championship. Thus far, only Portsmouth and Derby have been promoted automatically. Bolton, Borough, Oxford and Barnsley, now only Bolton and Oxford, are currently in the playoffs. A winner will not be decided until probably a couple of weeks after we start the save. Therefore, I can either promote Bolton with Derby and Portsmouth and relegate the three that have been relegated in real life, or I can promote only Portsmouth and Derby and relegate only Huddersfield and Rotherham, and Birmingham would get a reprieve and they would still be in the Championship. Which is your preferred option? Do I not change the leagues that teams are in whatsoever, so Portsmouth and Derby and plus minus Bolton would still be in League One, or do we update the leagues so Leicester and Ipswich would be Premier League and then plus minus Leeds United as well? With regards to the Premier League that is still currently ongoing, of course, at the bottom, Sheffield United are already relegated, that's fine. Burnley are highly unlikely to get out of the relegation zone, so I'm happy to relegate them as well. Luton have a 3-point gap with 2 games remaining. Their remaining fixtures are West Ham away and Fulham at home. In all honesty, I don't see Luton surviving. So as it stands, I would relegate Luton as well if you guys decided that we were to promote Leeds in their place. Leeds, Southampton, West Brom and Norwich City, of course, still in the playoffs in the Championship as of yet undecided. I hope that makes sense. I hope I've explained it well enough there for you. Please let me know your preference. As ever, do thumbs up comments in the comment section that you agree with as well, and that will really help the more popular options rise to the top. Would you like fan objectives for this save, like we did with the Creator Club Youth Academy Road to Glory, or are you not bothered about them because we're going on the more realistic line, so we'll stick to what's given in-game, or probably not even factor the ones that are given in-game in, because we're being more realistic, and some of those can be super unrealistic, i.e. the FA Cup objective when you're in League One and it wants you to reach the quarter bloody finals. Now, what percentage of my overall bank balance should my transfer budget be? The starting bank balance of the club is £1.5 million. That figure is taken from Football Manager when you start a new save. So is my transfer budget currently going to be set at 50% of what my bank balance is? So I'm never allowed to spend more than 50% of what I've got in the bank, or 30% or 75%, i.e. depending on the level that we're in. So whilst we're in League One and below, do I have it set to 30% my overall starting season bank balance, 50% my overall starting bank balance, or 75% in the Premier League? Or I could just do a default blanket 50% across the board. You guys will decide that. Wage budget wise, it's difficult to figure out because in Football Manager you get given an arbitrary number that the game decides. We are having to decide a figure for ourselves. Initially, my current wage budget initial figure, which I'm having to pluck out of thin air, is 15% of my current total wage expenditure. So all of the wages of the squad currently being spent, I've allowed myself 15% more to make further signings if we want to make further signings on what we've currently got in the squad. Then moving forward from season to season, what that wage budget is for the next year will depend on what our performance has been like in that given season. Example, if I finish in the top half of League One, then my next season's wage budget will go up 10% from what the previous season's original starting budget was. So it would go up £6,744 from this season's wage budget. If I finish in the bottom 10%, it will go down 10%. Sorry, bottom half, it will go down 10%. So my wage budget would actually be about 61,000, which would then dramatically affect what I can do financially with the squad, and again, is more in line with lessening the progression or lengthening the progression up the leagues. 10% decrease in wages might be a bit too harsh. Maybe we go bottom half 5% negative, but that's up for you guys. Promotion and relegation, plus minus 25% respectively, is a figure that I'm thinking of right now. And if we, for example, finish top half, but we don't get automatically promoted to get the 25%, but we do finish in the playoffs and have a really good season, then maybe we get 15% rather than 10% as a boost. That promotion relegation could also be changed to plus or minus 20% if you guys feel like that's a more accurate figure. In real life, unlike in the current default FC, you can go over your wage budget. I could spend more than my 67,447. And the minute I've plucked out 10% to give you a visual example of that. But do you think I should only be able to go by 5%, 10% or 15%? At present it's set to 10, so I could spend over £6,744 over that wage budget as it stands. This figure here is actually a live figure that takes my current total expenditure off my original budget. So say, for example, I offered Jordan Cousins a £10,000 a week wage rise. My total expenditure would now be £68,650, meaning that this figure, now in the negative, is £1,202 over budget. And that figure could never go in excess of that figure, otherwise I would be in breach of the rules. That would be the current understanding of what I'm setting out with regards to the wage budget. From there, with a kind of a game thing, I don't know if this is possible because I've only got the one controller plugged into my PC and I'm unsure as to whether I can edit the opposition's squad with a keyboard. Do I, like we used to have to do, edit the opposition starting 11 to field their strongest side? Because we've seen at times, like with James McAtee at Manchester City, or some teams fielding a third choice goalkeeper, they don't necessarily put out a reflective strength first team 11. You guys will have to let me know what you think of that. Do we just wing it and do what we did in previous saves this year, or do we go back to what we were doing and manually change the opposition 11? This one is the contract role, one that we've kind of already covered, and at present, the opening transfer window will be open for all of the other clubs, but am I allowed to make signings at the beginning of the current transfer window or not? I obviously have the finances to be able to do so, but some of the players in the current squad that we'll be starting with are players that have signed throughout the course of the first season in real life. So Lyle Taylor signed halfway through the IRL season, but will be with me from the start. Macaulay Bond signed on loan throughout the season. Same with James Gibbons, but will be with me from the start. So I'm not going to sell anyone in the opening window. But if you feel like I should be allowed to sign free agents, or with whatever my transfer budget might well end up being in the first window, then I'm happy to do so. If you think that I should not sign anyone so that we at least start the season with a realistic Cambridge United squad, then I'm happy to not sign anyone in the opening transfer window. But that window will be open for other clubs, just to ensure that we can see what happens with other leagues, etc. Especially with, if we do decide to promote and relegate sides, obviously those sides that get promoted are going to want to improve for that new season. Otherwise, they're just going to probably get relegated again, i.e. Ipswich in the Prem. That's what I want feedback on. That's what my current rule set is. This is what we're going to be manually adjusting throughout the course of the season. This might not work with the bank balance. It's going to basically be decided upon by this aspect of the save. So currently, my starting balance is as it sits right here. I would then be altering that, editing it, updating it as we go along, based on what comes up in this transactions tab. So I would add £6,000 worth of prize money. I'd take off these as they come in. You can see stadium maintenance, travel costs for any particular game, match tickets sold, travel costs, stadium maintenance, match tickets sold, etc. I'd update this on the fly every single week as we go through. And overall, at the minute, the club has made a profit of $294,000 in game. We would obviously be tracking that more accurately with our overall bank balance here in the spreadsheet, because the overall bank balance is, in theory, going to dictate what our transfer budget is in any given season, based on the rulings that we have currently set out here, with it being 30, 50 or 75%, depending on what you guys decide. So at the moment, pleased to see that Cambridge are making money. Whether it translates well enough for us to be able to run a realistic financial model, I don't know. That's something we will have to experience as we go through. If we need to make alterations on the fly and just sack off the overall balance and just merely keep an eye on realistic transfer and wage budgets, then we will do so. But hopefully this as a plan will work. I'll have a extra sheet here for each given season in any given league, so we can keep a record of our finances. And then I'll have an overall bank balance sheet for all of time with ins and outs. And then we can track it all told rather than just season by season. That's where we are right now. Hopefully you guys are on board. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to what promises to be the most realistic save we've ever done on FC. It's kind of blurring the lines between Football Manager and FC/FIFA. Now, an idea that has been raised in chat whilst I've been recording this for the promotion and relegation with regards to playoff teams is using a Wheel of Fortune. I'm putting the four sides in, hitting spin, and whoever comes out on top or gets selected last gets promoted. we knock them out one by one, or we spin it and whoever it lands on gets the promotion. That's an alternative as well. So let me add in here Wheel of Fortune style. That's also going to be a potential way of deciding what we do with promotions and relegations, etc. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this save. I look forward to doing Cambridge United saves anyway, but going into this much detail with it as well makes it even more enticing and even more exciting, because hopefully this is going to be a proper, like, you guys love my Road to Glory style saves. This is going to be hopefully the most realistic style save that we've ever done. Hopefully that doesn't fucking happen in the league. And fingers crossed we actually have a really decent season. I am going to be doing some gameplay testing as well. I'll be updating my sliders according to what we find, and then that will be all articulated in the first opening episode of this save. That's where we are right now. I need your feedback before I can start it, so please give me that feedback. I'd appreciate it. Hopefully you're looking forward to watching the save. Do subscribe to the channel if you are. Follow me on Twitch and subscribe to the Chesnoid Live YouTube channel to come and watch on stream. Your in live chat feedback will be crucial for certain areas, like deciding on contracts, etc., and potential editing of certain circumstances. So it's going to be crucial. You guys get all of the transfer suggestion options stuff as well, plus, of course, now even more involvement. So you guys are just as involved as I am at making this as good a save as it possibly can be. Thank you very much for watching this very waffly video, I admit, but it's a necessary waffly video. Hopefully I will see you in episode 1 that will be scheduled as a premiere very, very soon. I'll see you next time.